Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Center Ice, presented by Old City Sports Network. As always, man, I am your host, Evan Hale. You could find me at Grimbus024 on Twitter. Make sure you follow the podcast page on Twitter as well. I believe it's at Center Ice underscore OCSN. So go ahead and give us a follow on both of those, man. We'll be keeping y'all up to date because here's the thing, guys. The NHL season is back. That's right. The NHL season is back. What a wonderful time of year, man. Football's going, basketball's about to get started, but the NHL is back. Camps are opening up. Teams are getting ready for preseason. A lot of teams are doing their prospect tournaments right now. A lot of teams looking to get better. And we're going to get into that further down the road. But we do have something we need to talk about before we get into all that, because as the season is getting underway, we have our first controversy. And I know you guys are asking, Evan, how is it that we have a controversy already this season? Well, I'll tell you all about it, man. Two simple words, technically names. Mike Babcock. That's right. Mike Babcock back in the news, man. And we're going to get all into it, but check out this, guys. Make sure you go check out all of our other shows, man. These guys work hard. Look, I've been out of the loop for a little bit, but I know these guys have been working their tails off, grinding every single day to get content out, to grow this brand, to grow this company, to grow this network. And they're doing a great job. So go show them some love, man, because they're working hard to get you content to talk about all your favorite sports teams, whatever you want, whenever you want, on any platform you want. So make sure you're giving them some love, man. So let's get into this Mike Babcock situation. Michael Edward Babcock. I don't know if that's his middle name or not, but we're going off the cuff here. Mike Babcock. This story first broke on the popular podcast Spittin' Chicklets. I'm sure we're all familiar with that, hosted by Ryan Whitney and Paul Bissonnette. They're two of the co-hosts on the show, former NHL players. They're very tuned into the league. They know a lot of sources. They know a lot of guys in the league. They've played with a lot of guys in the league. In their most recent episode where they interviewed John Morasti, he was also interviewed by Old City Sports Network. Go make sure you listen to that interview as well. Before they get into the interview, they start discussing the season, the excitement and the fanfare surrounding it all, because it's an exciting time. Hockey season's a great season. And before they get too deep down the rabbit hole, Whit kind of stops Biz and he goes, "Are we going to talk about this situation in Columbus that's going on right now?" And he said, "Are we going to save it for when we talk about the Metropolitan Division?" And Biz says, "Nope, let's get right into it right now." So this initially broke by Paul Bissonnette. Of all people, Paul Bissonnette. And I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. Biz, he's been in the media game for quite a while now. He's starting to, he's finding his way, man. I think he's shaping out to be a really good analyst. He's good at verifying his sources, and he does a really, really good job at this that nobody really gives him credit for. He always makes sure of something before he says it, if that makes sense. So he's always verifying information before he just puts it out there. He's always going double check, and he's making sure that he's saying the right thing so he doesn't sound like an idiot, because nobody wants to sound like an idiot. I don't even want to sound like an idiot talking to you guys, but here we are. So Biz goes on to say that he received a text from somebody who was playing in the NHL. Obviously, names were not used for obvious reasons. And he said, "Have you heard what Babcock is doing lately? His latest stunt, the latest stunt that Mike Babcock is pulling." So Biz obviously inquires with a good journalistic mind, always chasing with that curiosity and that hunger for you to learn more, and he says, "Well, Babs is asking guys to give him their phones, and he's getting the video coach or somebody, or maybe it's himself, to hook it up to the TV via HDMI or, AirPlay or whatever. And they're going through their photos." Now, Biz also claims that he got, this could be an exaggeration, but on the podcast, he said that he heard 20 stories that match this claim about Babcock. Obviously, it's Spittin' Chicklets. We've all heard Spittin' Chicklets. We've all heard how raunchy they can be. We all know how raunchy Paul Bissonnette can be. We all know how raunchy Ryan Whitney can be. That's what they do. They're entertaining that way, and it's fun because most fans want a different change of pace than most analysts being like, "Oh yeah, this guy, blah blah blah." No, they want to hear the nitty gritty stuff, And that's what Chicklets does. And so obviously when they heard this, they immediately jumped to, Mike Babcock's looking at all the private photos from players via their wives, girlfriends, themselves, what have you. And obviously, no coach should be looking for that. And if Mike Babcock is looking for that, then that's a different can of worms that will be sorted out down the road. So this obviously went viral on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all the social media pages, prompting I'm sure the Blue Jackets PR team to be in an utter scramble mode to try to figure out how to fix this or to figure out what's going on, get statements from people, get things out, figure out, get things together essentially, because this is out of left field. Imagine you go to work and someone's like, hey, yeah, they released a scandalous claim about you and you have to just figure it out from there, So I'm sure they were freaked out. They were, scrambling to figure something out. And finally, they released a statement from both Mike Babcock and Boone Jenner, the captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Basically, the statement said from Mike Babcock that, look, this is being blown way out of proportion. Spit and Chicklets is making a mockery of this, and they're saying all these things, and it's completely not true. And thankfully for Babcock, Jenner supported these claims, and he was like, look, I went in, he asked to see pictures of my family. I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was a great first meeting. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. So now, where are we at? What does this all mean? So let's start with step one. Is this legal for Mike Babcock to do? Let's see. Let's just start there, because that's kind of it's like going to work and being like, hey, your boss, you just walk in and your boss is like, all right, we're having a company meeting. Everybody give me your phones. And then he hooks it up to the TV and he just scrolls through your camera roll. I don't think a lot of us would appreciate that. And it's not legal. I looked it up. The only way that they can do that is if they're suspicious or they have reason to believe that you are doing something inappropriate via your phone. That's the only way they can go look through it, not to find out what kind of guy that they have. And to be fair, Boone Jenner is the captain of an NHL team. I mean, it's hard to find a worse guy in the world than a captain of any sports team. I mean, they're typically great leaders within the locker room and the community. They lead on the ice, they lead by example. They do what they do, and they get out. It's hard to find a captain that's not a quality person. It's hard to. So when all this happened, it makes you think, why does Mike Babcock need to see all this? Why does he need to see his players' phones? His claim is to find out what kind of player he has. Why would you need to look through someone's phone to figure out what kind of... I guess I can understand it, but at the same time, it's like, why? What does that do? What does that do as far as coaching or building morale in the locker room? Or, Biz even pointed this out too. What about the forecheck? What about the power play? What about the breakout? All these things. What about all these things that we need to be worried about other than what's on this guy's phone? And it makes sense. But at the same time, I could kind of see Babcock being like, all right, look, man, are you a family man? Are you a partier? What's going on here? I understand that completely, but there's different ways I feel like he could have approached it to figure that out. So is this claim 100% true that he was looking through players' phones and, doing some shady stuff with that? No. And notice how I phrased it. Is it 100% true? No, because we don't know just yet. The NHLPA is still investigating. I think they're still investigating. We'll get into it in a second. But is the claim 100% false? Also, no. Because here's why. Babcock says, look, this is being blown out of proportion. This is not what happened, blah, blah, blah. This isn't true. Boone Jenner then says, well, yeah, he went through my phone. He looked at my family pictures and everything. And it's like, okay, so he is going through players' phones. He is going through these players' phones and trying to see what's going on here. But I think the way that they're saying this is being misinterpreted, this is not true, this is being blown out of proportion, they're making a mountain out of a molehill, is when Chicklets is like, oh, Babcock's looking for private pictures, he's trying to see the guys, and their wives, things like that. And I can get that because, it's, again, everybody, it's spitting Chicklets. Okay. If you haven't heard the podcast, go listen to it. You'll figure out exactly what I mean when I say that. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm really not, because I'm a fan of the show. I like the content that those guys produce. They do a great job of getting players in and revealing stories that nobody's ever heard, because they make it like a locker room setting in a sense, with, obvious, censorships. But that's what they do, man. They like to have a good time. They like to poke fun. And when something like this happens, I'm sure we all thought that. I'm sure we all thought, oh, Mike Babcock's trying to look at private photos and he's trying to expose the team to each other. Like he's trying to get these teammates to see each other in their private lives and all this stuff. And which, to be fair, teammates tend to not really have that much secrecy. I'm sure most of us that have been in locker rooms can attest to that. There's not much secrecy. It's a brotherhood. Guys are there to, everybody's there to have a good time, get some work done, be vulnerable with one another and get out. So then after the statements, after Babcock and Jenner kind of defended themselves, I thought they did a great job. I thought the statements were well presented and all that. Chicklets then began to get backlash because they made such a big deal about it. Which, again, it's like, that's what they do. That's Barstool. That's Barstool to a T. They're gonna poke fun. They're gonna fan the flames. They're gonna pour gas on the flames. They're gonna do all these things to get people riled up, because that's what they do. And that's why they've been so successful, because that's what they do. They're not scared to poke the bear. They're not. So when Chicklets started to get backlash, that's when Bissonnette decided to go to Twitter, and he was like, I'm not backing down from this. We're a players podcast first, which I respect the hell out of, because if anything happens to the players, they were players also. They want these guys to have long, successful, illustrious careers. So if anything like this is happening to them, or they're being treated unfairly in any way, they're going to voice that first. They're not here to kiss ass to management or anything like that. They had their time. They had their time in the league. They played. They did everything. They're both retired. They're both on to different things. So they're going to defend the players first. And I respect that. I can respect the hell out of that, man. I really, really can. So when Bissonnette went back after it, and he was like, Mike Babcock can kiss my ass. This is true, and he should be held accountable for this. I think that's where the NHL Players Association got involved. So they investigated the situation, and what we have right now as far as information regarding all of that is Marty Walsh, Ron Hainsey, and Don Zavello investigated on behalf of the NHLPA. They went to Columbus, checked everything out, did all the questioning and everything. Earlier today, they met with the league in the New York City office. They provided an update on their investigation, and there's no further comment at this time. Now, this is from the NHLPA, and it was posted via Elliot Friedman's Twitter account. Again, that's a very credible source compared to Biz. So, where does that kind of leave us now? Where does that leave us with this whole situation? Well, let's ask it like this. And you know what? Leave a comment if you think, what do you think will be the outcome of all of this? Do you think good or bad? Do you think both? Give both scenarios if you want to. Leave a comment, good or bad. What do you think is going to happen? What's the fallout going to be? Because at the end of the day, the league's going to have to consider that this is Mike Babcock. Okay? This isn't John Cooper. This isn't, Bruce Cassidy. This isn't, Derek Lalonde. This is a guy that has a proven track record of doing shady shit to his players and being unfair to them. So as the league, if this proves to be true, whether he's, looking at family pictures or trying to embarrass a guy or not, he has no reason to ask for their phones. I understand that Boone Jenner, he was willing to be like, oh, yeah, look, this is my family. This is our vacation pictures, what have you, but he has no reason to do that. His job at the end of the day is to put the team in the best possible position to win. And I'm sure doing that and evaluating a guy that way makes him feel as though he's doing that for the team. But at the same time, why do you need to do that? You know what I mean? Because that guy is who you're going to be seeing every day. You're not going to be seeing his family. You're going to be seeing him interact with his family. You're going to be getting Boone Jenner, the athlete, every single day that walks in that door, because they're all competitors. Everybody here, everybody who is listening, tuned in live, what have you, we've all met a professional athlete. These guys are competitors and they love to compete. So when they're in that building, they're there to compete. And I understand there's a human side to all of it, to being an athlete and everything. Every athlete wants to be the best guy there when they're there. Every athlete. So when it comes to that, I think Babs needs to just focus more on the X's and O's. That's if he keeps his job. Now, in addition to that, too, if it comes out that it is true, Darren Dreger, he was on a radio call. It was on TSN's Instagram account. I forgot what radio he was on. But he was talking about it a little bit, and he was saying that if this is true, Babcock's job is in jeopardy. And to a further extent, Jarmo Kekalainen could be held accountable to some degree as well, which is the GM for the Blue Jackets. And I kind of want to ask you guys, man, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, tuned in live right now, do you think that upper management like Kekalainen or even the ownership is going to be held accountable for what Mike Babcock's doing? Or do you think nothing's going to happen to them? Babcock gets canned, or do you think nothing's going to happen? Leave a comment down below, man. And because I just don't even know what to think about this situation. This is just crazy. I mean, we're here to just play hockey, and guys are, trying to look through our phones. It's crazy. It's so crazy. So we can kind of push past now, man. In lighter news, let's talk about a team that is a pillar of inconsistency and instability. And they got a guy that'll anchor that because he is a pillar of stability and consistency. And Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes was named the 15th captain in Vancouver Canucks history. Is that a big deal? I mean, if you're a Vancouver fan, sure. But at the same time, I feel like this is a good step in the right direction to be like, all right, we got to start figuring this stuff out because we're too talented of a team to let this all go to waste. So we got to have one guy ready to steer the ship. And I think Quinn Hughes is the perfect choice. You get rid of Ekman Larson, you bring in Hronek, Besser's still there. Pettersson's still there. JT Miller's still there. You got talent on this team. Thatcher Demko's still in the net. So now that you got those guys, man, you got Quinn Hughes ready to lead this team, taking shape. I think the Vancouver Canucks, congratulations to them, man. Congratulations to Quinn Hughes specifically. I did want to ask this question to the audience. Again, leave a comment. When do you think this will happen? But at what point do we see every single Hughes brother wearing a letter on their sweater? We already got two. We need one more. How long until Luke Hughes gets that? When they promote Jack to the C, they give Luke the A. I think the Hughes family's in great shape as far as their NHL careers are going. And I'm excited, man. This is such a fun time for me because I like to look at the teams kind of just blueprint-wise because we're heading into preseason. So I like to look at the teams just like, all right, what are their weak points? What are their strong points? Where can they get better? Which, speaking of, man, teams are still making signings. Teams are still signing guys. Kincaid got signed by the Devils, Tatar to the Avalanche. It's going to be a fun season. And Here's something also to look out for, man. Connor Bedard's going to be in action soon. Connor Bedard. Everybody loves Connor Bedard. I guess I can just start breaking down the Central. Might as well since we're here. So I'm gonna try to get a division a week to kind of give us some lead up to the season here, and it should be a fun time, man, because I'm excited to break all this stuff down with you guys. So let's go ahead and look at the Central Division. Central Division. So we got Arizona, Chicago, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Nashville, St. Louis, Winnipeg. So I think the top three teams are going to be Dallas, Colorado, Minnesota. I don't think that changes from last season. I think out of all those teams, I think Dallas. No, I think Colorado got better than any team in this league. I think Colorado got better in this league, in this division. I mean, I think Colorado got better. They added Ross Colton after losing JT Compher, which is a huge pickup. I mean, huge, because Colton was kind of buried on that depth chart in Tampa, and they just kept bringing guys in to play over him. Those rentals and everything that are Tampa's going to be a mess. But anyway, they add Ross Colton. He's got 2 Stanley Cups. He's got plenty of playoff experience. He's got plenty of experience scoring big-time goals. And it kind of helps bring some stability to the lineup because Gabe Landeskog is obviously on the shelf still. Then you got Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be number 2. Dallas, obviously, we got Jason Robertson out there. We got Jamie Benn still, Tyler Seguin, all these guys, man. And I think they're right there. They're right there, man. Dallas is so close, just getting over that hump, getting to where they need to be. Luke Hughes is a ween. Jesse, you're a ween. I'm just kidding. I love you, buddy. Quick question. How do you think me snagging Bedard in fantasy will go? I mean, he's going to be a generational talent, man. Here's my take on Connor Bedard as far as his rookie season is going to go. Chicago is going to be a lottery team. But they're going to be good enough to where at the end of the season, you're going to look at the standings and you're going to go, huh, kind of like that. Looking at the Chicago Blackhawks. It's all going to be because of 98 in red. The kid can play like nobody's business. Bedard, he skates like the wind. He's not the biggest kid out there, but he can skate past anybody. He can skate right past you, and you're stumbling over your own feet. And then on top of that, he can absolutely rip the puck, man. I mean, this kid has a rocket of a shot. So as far as fantasy goes for Connor Bedard, I think he's going to get somewhere between 60, 70 points, which is very solid for a rookie. I'm excited to see what he does. I'm excited to see what the Blackhawks do. It should be a good season in Chicago. I think it'll be a different season, from what they've been seeing the past couple of years. They had the Fleury experiment. Then, they bring Seth Jones in, give him a lot of money. They get rid of Kane, which I know some Blackhawks fans are still very upset about. But they bring in guys like Taylor Hall to play with Connor Bedard. And I think that duo is kind of coming in a little bit under the radar, which is crazy to say because they're 2 former top 5 picks. One's a former MVP. And I think they're coming a little bit under the radar as far as dynamic duos in the league. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Minnesota's going to be that 3rd team behind Dallas. So I think it's going to be Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, top 3 in that order. The only thing that's going to stop Colorado is going to be their goaltending. They do have a lot of question marks as far as goaltending goes. But they have Kale McCarr. They have Devin Taves. They have Sam Girard. They have a good defensive core in front of him, in front of whatever goalie they put in there, whether it's Georgiev or Francouz or if they go get Grubauer back. Doesn't matter who they have out there. They have a good, solid defensive core, and they have a really, really, really good offensive front. So I think Colorado's going to take that first spot in the division, then followed by Dallas, because Dallas is pretty much the same way as far as how they're built. The only difference is Dallas absolutely has the better goaltender. I think Dallas has the best goaltender in. Do I want to say the league? Do I want to put him over Vasilevsky? No, I don't. I'll say the West. How about that? Best goalie in the West. I like that. Best goalie in the West, Jake Ottinger. I don't even think it's close either. I don't even think it's close. Jake Ottinger is the undisputed king and somehow still underrated. I still don't think a lot of people understand how good he is just yet. I don't think a lot of people have really seen what Jake Ottinger can do. And it's because of the lack of playoff success, I think. Like if they win the Western Conference Finals last year. Was it last year they won the Western Conference? Anyway, if they make it to the Cup, these past couple of years that they've made the playoffs, I think a lot of people are talking differently about Jake Ottinger and the Dallas Stars. Then on top of that, you have one of the best first lines in hockey. You got Pavelski, Hintz, Robertson. Now, that last name, Robertson, got a little snake bitten in the playoffs, kind of disappeared late in the later rounds. Even in the early rounds, he just wasn't scoring, wasn't playing like himself. He looked uncomfortable. But like I said, these guys are competitors. So if you think Jason Robertson isn't going to bounce back and have a better mentally tough year, you're going to be surprised. Then you still got Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and then you add Matt Duchene. You add Matt Duchene to this team. Dude, the Dallas Stars have such a lethal power play. It's ridiculous. Okay? Because you got Miro Heiskanen on the back end, who's easily a top 5 defenseman in the league. Just on his skating ability alone. Leave his offensive, abilities just off to the side right now. His skating ability and his defensive work's kind of shaky at times, but the way that kid plays the game and how fast he is and how smart he is, he's easily a top 5 defenseman. It's not even close. So you got that guy, you got Jake Ottinger, you got a top 6 that is full of youth and veteran leadership. I think Dallas is a really, really scary team. Really, really scary team. So then that moves us to Minnesota. Minnesota is still a very good team. They still got Zuccarello. They still got Kaprizov. They still got, all these guys. But are they going to find that extra gear? Because I feel like that's what's been missing from Minnesota's game. They haven't been able to find that extra gear in the playoffs to be like, no, this is our series and we're not losing. Because a lot of the times it seems like when you're watching a Minnesota Wild game, it seems like they're in firm control of a game, and then they just let go. They take their foot off the neck. Don't take the foot off the neck, boys. All right, they got to find a way to dig deep. And they have a great coach, man. They got Dean Evason's a really great coach. A really great coach. I mean, he has his guys ready to play every single night. But it's just this. It's almost like anyone who's played hockey has experienced this, where you're doing everything right in the offensive zone. You're getting shots. You're cycling well. You're keeping pressure. And then all of a sudden, the puck gets chipped out. Other team goes down, and they score after you did all this great work in the offensive zone. It's just so deflating. And it seems like that happens to Minnesota more often than not, especially in the playoffs. So I don't know if it's just going to be like I don't know what needs to happen with them but it's all they have all the answers inside that room. I can say that. They have all the answers that to any problem they have inside that locker room right now. Who's going to make the wild card spot? I think St. Louis makes its triumphant return back to the playoffs as a wild card team from the Central Division. And I will stand and die on that hill alone if I have to. So, the St. Louis Blues, since winning the Cup, have been mediocre at best. So, it only adds to the beauty of them winning the Cup, by the way. Going from last place to winning the whole damn thing to, being this team that's kind of treading water right now. I'm going to say it, man. I don't think Bennington's the answer in net for them. I've thought that. I didn't think, man. And it's like when the lights are brightest, he really shoves it up my hoop when I say this, but I just don't think he's the guy, man. I just don't. But every time in the playoffs, when they make the playoffs, Jordan Bennington shoves it right up my ass, man. And he makes me eat my words. And I love it. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong when I say mean things about players. I want to be so wrong. But I think this is the year they finally get back, and they actually make some noise, man. Because anytime you play St. Louis, you're going to be playing a really physical team. You're going to be playing a really physical game. You have to earn every inch of ice if you're going to play. And then on top of that, they add a great second-line center. They got Kyrou and Thomas and, those young guys. But then they go out and they add Kevin Hayes. And I'm a huge Kevin Hayes fan. Believe it or not, Kevin Hayes is one of my top 3 favorite players in the NHL right now. Not because of how he plays, just because, I think he's a great guy. I think it's great that he got out of Philly. I think it's great that Philly moved on from him. I think it's great. We're going to get into Philly further down the road. Also, go listen to Flyers Alley. They got all the Philly stuff for you. But we'll be breaking it down as well. But to add Kevin Hayes to a lineup like that, man, you're going to get scoring. You're going to get veteran leadership. You're going to get playmaking ability. You're going to get somebody to help out on the power play. That's going to be huge for St. Louis. Just that minor addition. And I say minor addition. He's got a huge contract, but neither here nor there. But, when you see Kevin Hayes, you're not like blown away. But to add him to this St. Louis Blues team that has a ton of youth and a ton of skill and a ton of speed, to bring him in to kind of show these young guys, all right, hey, look, slow it down a little bit. Check this out. Look, make some plays. I think that's going to be so unbelievably beneficial for the St. Louis Blues. Then we're going to put the Nashville Predators. I'm going to say the Jets. I'm going to say the Jets over the Predators just because the Jets still kind of have that, that grit, and they're going to be boxing St. Louis for that final wild card spot. I haven't put the kiss of death just yet on the Winnipeg Jets because they still have Connor Hellebuck. They still have Mark Scheifele. They still have Kyle Connor. They still got guys that can make plays, score goals, and keep this team alive. The reason I put St. Louis over them, though, is strictly because they're just younger. They're just younger. And nothing against the Jets, man. I think the Jets have a great core, but I think their window is like, it was open this big, and now it's about here now for the Jets. So I think they're just aging. I think they need to revamp a lot of things. Hellebuck's got a foot out the door already, man. That's not a great sign heading into the season that your starting goalie is like, I don't know if I want to play here anymore. That's super concerning. Will that be a distraction for the team? I don't know. Probably though. Like that's like in the 90s if Yzerman just walked in the Wings locker room and he's like, I don't know if I want to play here anymore. I don't know if I want to do that. It definitely is like, okay, whoa, dude. Kind of takes everybody aback, and it's like, All right, well, let's talk about this, and then let's see what we can figure out. And then it's like the more he plays, the more frustrated he's going to become with the team. Maybe not. Maybe they have some success and he sticks around. Who knows? Who knows? But right now, Winnipeg does not look better than St. Louis in my eyes. And that'll bring us, hey, bro, what's up, Tino's time? Uh, that'll bring us to the Nashville Predators. I just realized too that the Colorado Avalanche added Ryan Johansson, so that makes my take even better about them winning the division. They added Ryan Johansson to that team. That's disgusting, dude. That's going to change that power play in so many ways. Are you kidding me? I can't believe I forgot that. You're going to have Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar, Ryan Johansson, and literally whoever you want. You can literally pull a fan out of the stands and that power play would still score. That's how good they're going to be, man. Because Landeskog is more the muck and grind. He's going to get in front of the net, take the beating, what have you. That role shifted to Comfer, and he did a great job last season of doing that. But then you bring in Johansson, a guy who can actually move the puck at an elite level, serving it up to Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar, and Nathan McKinnon. The Avalanche are going to be disgusting. Anyway, back to the Predators. The Predators, man, they're slowly dipping their toes in rebuild territory. Slowly but surely. First, it started with moving Mikael Granlund. Then they moved Johansson. Then they moved Duchesne. And now you're kind of just staring at the abyss if you're a Predators fan. And you're just like, yep, this is where we're at. And that's totally fine, man. That's totally fine because they have enough talent to kind of switch or to transition into that a little bit easier. They still have Philip Forsberg. They still have, Roman Josi. I almost called him Roman Reigns. Sorry, I was watching wrestling earlier. And you still got UC Saros. You still got a elite player in every position. Forward, defenseman, goalie. You got an elite player on all three of those phases. Now, what they need to do is they need to figure out how to get those guys some help, especially on the back end, especially for 59 in yellow. That guy needs help today. He needs extra help, all right? He needs the National Guard, the Coast Guard, the Navy SEALs, the Marines, and even the Army and the Air Force. Bring them all because Roman Josi's fighting for his life out there. But he's so electric on offense, it kind of alleviates some pressure for Philip Forsberg, who is, hot and cold as far as injuries go. I think the Preds are going to be another team that you're just kind of like, I didn't think they'd be that good. Same with Chicago. I think Chicago and Nashville, they're going to be interchangeable. The only reason I'm putting Nashville above them is because their experience and the guys that they have. And then obviously Arizona's going to be last. And I have a feeling I'm going to regret that, man, because they got a lot of young guys that can go. But we'll see how it all plays out. Anyway, Nashville and Chicago are going to be interchangeable throughout the season. And I'll be doing some power rankings and stuff throughout the season for you guys. I promise you we're going to be delivering you some hockey content this season. Right? There's one thing that I can guarantee is there will be hockey content on Old City Sports Network. You can bet your bottom dollar that I'll be here to give it to you. So Chicago and Nashville are going to be interchangeable. And again, it's only because of the experience and the guys that they have. I think as far as goaltending goes, I give Nashville the nod, and that's my most important category. So when I say category, I'm always talking about forward, defense, goalie. And goalie's always going to be the most important to me. I don't care if you have Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, William Nylander. I don't care. Who is in net? Who is stopping the puck? And we'll get to Toronto. Oh, we're going to get to Toronto. But I think UC Saros is better than any goalie Chicago could throw out there right now. And that's fair to say. And that's why I'm giving them the nod. Then I think Roman Yossi's better than Seth Jones, obviously. And then Philip Forsberg, I don't think he's better than Connor Bedard. But as it stands right now, I think he is better than Connor Bedard strictly off of experience. So that's why I got Nashville over Chicago right now as far as my preliminary standings. Now, speaking of Chicago, man, I need to look up their lines, man, because I feel like they're actually going to be really sneaky good. Let me see here. Oh, this is fun. Everybody knows that Chicago's got Connor Bedard. It's no secret at this point. They won the lottery, blah, blah, blah. So now let's see what they got. So on the second line, Tyler Johnson, Taylor Radish, Andreas Athanasiou. First line's obviously Taylor Hall, Connor Bedard, Lucas Reichel. Pretty sure they got Nick Foligno, if I remember correctly. Nick Foligno, Ryan Donato, Corey Perry is their fourth line. Philip Kurashev, Jason Dickinson, Colin Blackwell is their third line. This is according to Daily Faceoff. This is obviously subject to change. We're just getting into the season. Yeah, not great defense. And then who's their goalies? Peter Mrazek's their goalie. Ooh, okay. All right, yeah. So that's going to be the downfall of the Chicago Blackhawks. Up front, they look pretty solid. You know, you got some proven guys that can, you know, play at a high level with, you know, Foligno, Donato, Perry, Dickinson, Johnson, Athanasiou, Taylor Hall, even Lucas Reichel. Lucas Reichel can be a solid player for them. But now we look at this, their defense. Kevin Korchinski, I don't even know how to say that, is paired with Seth Jones. Jared Tenorti's paired with Connor Murphy. Wyatt Kaiser is paired with Nikita Zaitsev. Now, if you ever heard me talk about hockey, Nikita Zaitsev is one of my least favorite defensemen in the entire league. And I'm not saying that because he's a bad person or anything like that. The guy is just, he's deer in headlights most of the time. Deer in headlights. And on top of that, you have Peter Mrazek, which as a Wings fan, I know how hot and cold Peter Mrazek can be. So it might be a long season for the Chicago Blackhawks, but it's not going to be that because everybody's going to be swept up in the excitement of having Connor Bedard, as they should be, because he's a generational player. He's going to slot in and easily fill in for the lack of Kane and Taves that Blackhawks fans came to know and love. That being said, man, I'm excited to see that kid in action. I'm excited to see him go. And like Jesse asked earlier, how's he going to do in fantasy? He's going to do great. Do not be scared to draft him. I wouldn't take him in the first round, but don't be scared to draft him because he's going to be a great player. And he's going to play a lot of minutes in pretty much every situation except for maybe penalty kill. But again, we don't know. But he's going to get a ton of power play minutes. He's going to get a ton of 5-on-5 minutes. He's going to get a ton of empty net situations. He's going to play literally everywhere because the way the Blackhawks should approach this season is fuck it, why not? Straight up though. Why not? You know, he's what, 18, 19? Let's see what he can do. Let's just have fun. You know, that should be the Blackhawks and their fans. That should be their mentality heading into the season. Let's just have fun and see what we got. Let's see what we got out of this kid, and let's see what we can do with everything else. Because right now he's on a rookie deal. So you ain't got to pay him $13 million. You ain't got to pay him $11 million. You ain't got to pay him $12 million. Let's just see what he can do. Let's just see what we got. Let's see what we got out of this so-say generational player, which they're going to be pleasantly surprised. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to talk about the Arizona Coyotes. Best jerseys in the league, guys. Best jerseys in the league. If you disagree, argue with yourself because I'm not arguing with you about it. This is going to be a weird team. This is going to be a weird team. Playing in a college rink again. A lot of uncertainty as far as you know, the future of the organization. But for the time being, sickest jerseys in the league. Clayton Keller, you know, I don't think they really added anybody. I mean, they added Jason Zucker. Congrats. Matt Dumba, Troy Stetcher, Sean Dursey. Sean Dursey's actually a nice pickup for them. I don't hate that. Then in the cage, you got I can Vamelka. Is that how you say it? I don't know. And then Connor Ingram. Now, Connor Ingram might be fun to play with, man. They still got Jacob Voracek. But do they have Jacob Voracek? Do they really have Jacob Voracek? They also have Shea Weber and Brian Little all on their IR. So, no, they don't have those guys, but they have them. So, could always be sneaky. Could always be sneaky. I'm excited to see this team, though, man. I'm always excited to watch the Arizona Coyotes. I don't know why. Never know why. I think it's because of their jerseys. But, you know, they got Logan Cooley. They got Barrett Hayton, Clayton Keller, obviously. Dylan Gunther. I'm excited to see that Dylan Gunther kid. I think he's going to be – he's not going to win Rookie of the Year, obviously. He's not going to. You know, that trophy is 98s to lose. I'll tell you that much for free. But I'm excited to see what this team can do. They got a lot of young guys on offense. Don't have a ton of defensive talent. That's fine. That can be sorted out soon enough. But they got. I mean, they'll be competitive. I don't think. I'll say this, man. If they finish above Chicago or Nashville, I'll be surprised. If they finish above Chicago or Nashville, I'll be pleasantly surprised with the Arizona Coyotes. And then last thing I want to say is I would love to go to a game at Mullet Arena. So, Jesse, if we can get that done, that'd be awesome. I'm totally joking, but also not joking at the same time. So, yeah, this is, a little bit of an abbreviated episode for right now. As they used to say in college, it's kind of like syllabus week. You know, we're getting back into the swing of things, trying to, it's week 1 for us all. So we're working out some kinks as far as the show goes. But we're moving and grooving, man. We're moving and grooving. We're gonna learn. We're gonna break down all these things for you guys next week. Let me not say next week, just because I think I'm moving next week. I have to double check. Anyway, but next episode, we will be breaking down the Atlantic Division. How about that? A little teaser for you guys. We're going to talk about the Atlantic Division. Hopefully something more comes out about Mike Babcock. We can get into all that as well. Then we can start having fun with the season, man. I know Jesse asked a question about Kane going to Detroit. As you guys may or may not know, I am a Red Wings fan. Thoughts on Kane going to Detroit? I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be really, really fun to watch Dylan Larkin, Patrick Kane, and Alex DeBrincat play on a line while Lucas Raymond continues to develop behind those guys. Bringing a guy in like that to help Lucas Raymond develop is going to be unbelievable. And I think the Red Wings would make the playoffs. So there's another little teaser because here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Okay, when we break down the Atlantic Division, I'm going to act the ass when we talk about the Red Wings. And I'm not going to apologize. And that's okay because I've earned that right. And as much as I love you guys, you just have to sit here and listen to me say it. So, like I said, hockey's back, baby. Hockey's back. I'm back. Should be a fun season. I can't wait to go through all of it with you guys too, man. Here at Old City Sports Network, man. Love to give each other a hard time. Love to have fun, And we also love to get each other's thoughts and opinions on things. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to say stupid shit or say smart shit on here and have my colleagues be like, hey, that was really smart or that was really dumb. And then we just have a discussion about it. Or with you guys, man. Again, guys, comment away. I'm here to answer all questions. I'm not the smartest guy as far as hockey analytics go. But I'm not the dumbest guy as far as hockey analytics go because I've been playing this game and been around this game for over 20 years now. So I know a thing or two about a thing or two. and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been the first episode of Center Ice of the 2023-2024 NHL season. I look forward to many more with you guys. I look forward to all the content we're going to make, and I look forward to having a great hockey season in the history books. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see y'all next time.